little bit.
I've got a room full here at Velma Jackson High School, and we got some great questions we're going to get to, but we're also recording this for our friends at Germantown High School and
Okay.
Original High School as well for their entrepreneurship classes. And
Cool.
just before you came on, we were looking at your website, looking at some of the things you do, sassyfrizzle.com. And like I told you this morning, we are in class talking about competitive advantage, what sets you apart as a brand, how to distinguish yourself from direct competitors, how to determine your price, things like that. So, from what I can tell, it looks like you're doing a great job of all that. So we'd
I'm
love to talk
trying.
about Sassy Frizzle and your story of entrepreneurship and what all you do there in our nation's capital.
All righty. So, hello, everybody. As previously mentioned, I am Nicole Harrison, but I go by Sassy, and that is because that is exactly who I am, full of sass. My entrepreneurship journey started when I was a little girl, but I didn't really know that I had an entrepreneurial spirit until a few years ago. And that's what made me look back over my life to see, at what point did I make this turn? But it's always been there. When I was 9 or 10, I used to host a dance camp at my house, and everybody paid 10 cents a day to learn the dances. And then we'd have a recital at the end of the year. So it was like, when I started to think about, the small things like that, I was like, yeah, this has always been my thing. But you guys are super lucky that you have classes about entrepreneurship. I didn't even know what the word was until I was in college. Nobody cultivated, you can do it yourself, you can work for yourself, and so you guys are really lucky in that regard. I actually started Sassy Frizzle Designs out of necessity. COVID, everybody knows about that, came along, and it was literally do or die. I had to do something else because I either die from depression, sitting in the house all day, every day, and you couldn't go out because of COVID. And what I did was I took my last paycheck at my previous job and I purchased a small craft cutting machine. And at the time, it was just something to do. I didn't really know that I was good at it until someone else said, you know what, those shirts look really good. You should sell those. And she gave me until Monday morning. This is a Saturday. She said, by Monday, I want you to be up and running. And I was like, all right, never the one to back down from a challenge. I set up my Etsy store over the weekend and I haven't looked back since. So.
Now, and again, we looked at your website. So just talk a little bit about what all products you offer and how they're designed and things like that, because I think I saw most of it, but we only had a little while to look at some of your products.
Okay, so I believe in individuality. I believe in the freedom of expression. So what I wanted to do was create items that gave people something to say without opening their mouths, right? So when you walk in a room, before you ever utter a word, people are looking at you up and down. What is a statement that you want to make? And then also, I like to reinforce that it is okay to be exactly who you are, period. No matter who that is, it is okay to be exactly who you are. And so what I want to do is make apparel and other gifts that say, this is who I am without you ever uttering a word. And what that has done for me is given me a particular market, a small niche, if you will, people who are like, ooh, I want that because I've never seen that before. And that says exactly what it is that I'm trying to say. For example, I love hip hop. And this is hip hop Mount Rushmore. These are, the people that you guys probably have no idea who they are, but these are the.
Oh, we got B.I.G., Tupac, Run DMC, and Eazy-E.
Yeah, you got them. So, this is the statement that I wanted to make when I met with you all, because again, individuality and the freedom of expression is the most wonderful thing ever. And if when I were in high school, I saw somebody that came and spoke to me that had on a ball cap and a hoodie, that would have empowered me to be exactly who I am. But we always had the people, in the stuffy suits, and nothing is wrong with that. It just wasn't my cup of tea.
Now, when you have your products, are you designing them? So
I am.
Have an art background or what?
So creativity has been, again, a thing for me since I was a little girl, dance camp, right? But before I started, I didn't have an art background, I didn't have a graphic design degree or certificate or anything like that. I just knew that this was something that I wanted to do. And I started downloading the Adobe suite and different softwares and learning how to do graphic design. Now I've taken a few courses, gotten a few certifications, but when I started, I just knew that this was something that I wanted to do and I didn't want to let anything stop me. So
Yeah, and that's cool you said that, because we have a couple students that are with us right now that are part of our Digital Media Academy. We have the
mhm.
only nationally recognized digital media academy in the state of Mississippi.
Oh, I love it.
And digital media and entrepreneurship really go hand in hand when it comes to business. Even and it also, one thing we always say is that we have entrepreneurs speak from all over the country. Some are employees slash entrepreneurs, some are entrepreneurs slash employees. But even as an employee, having an entrepreneurial spirit and an entrepreneurial skill can make you very profitable
Mhm.
in any type of business. So I'm glad you mentioned the digital media, because it is a very, very lucrative area, especially now.
Yeah.
And I know you are located in Washington, D.C.
Mhm.
So where did you grow up in Washington, D.C., or where did you come from to get to where you are now, one of the largest cities in the country?
I did not grow up in DC. I grew up in South Carolina. So
Okay.
I'm a country girl, small town. And now, one thing I've always known is my personality, my goals, my dreams were entirely too big for where I was. I've known that for a very, very long time. So not too long after graduation, I was out of there. And I've lived in Atlanta and, all over, but I really love DC because it's like the big city, but not as big as New York. And you can live in the suburbs and go into the city and do the big city things, but still have the small hometown feel.
That's great, and we're a small community as well, because we are close to Jackson, but we are also super rural. But
Okay.
that is a opportunity. Entrepreneurship can allow someone to move to a different area and take their skills and have a different market. Now, when it comes to your target market, and we talked about this, no successful entrepreneur is going to be able to reach every single person.
Right.
So how did you determine who your target market was going to be?
So for me, it kind of came together organically, right? Because you are friends with me on social media. I am just a huge personality, and I just put out there things that I would like. And I've noticed that my following is growing. And although you cannot reach everybody, I have something for everybody from birth to 99. And I've learned that if you don't necessarily focus on one particular group all of the time and instead pay attention to the trends, pay attention to the seasons, during back to school season, you may target parents with, things that they can wear to school, that kind of thing, target the high school students who want to have individuality and freedom of expression. During Christmas time, you may want to switch your focus to, the 25 to 40 crowd because they're buying Christmas gifts.
Wow.
So you have to make sure that you don't limit yourself to 18 to 35 when you have people 0 to 18 that like to have freedom of expression too. So
Yeah, and then you're and honestly, I don't think people realize you're in a very competitive market.
very,
A
yeah.
lot of people doing what you do. I don't even know about it watching, but we got some very good ones here in the Jackson area, and I know a few of them that do similar stuff. So it's very competitive. So how do you set yourself apart and get a competitive advantage to have a leg up on the competition?
One, see that behind me? I affirm myself every single day that I can do what all of these other people are doing, if not do it better, right? I can be as big as these billion-dollar companies if I believe that I can. That's where it starts. It doesn't matter what following you have, what training you have, what goals you have. If you don't believe that you can actually make them happen, they're not going to.
Wow. Now, and one thing that you see a lot of Black business owners talk about, especially small business owners, is a lot of them try to undersell because they're so worried about people thinking they're too expensive that they're afraid they're going to lose their market. So
Yeah.
how do you overcome that challenge of being a Black-owned business, but not devaluing your worth when it comes to your pricing of your products?
All right. So there's an analogy that talks about the bread aisle. How when you go onto the bread aisle, there's bread from the top to the bottom, from the front to the back. They're all different brands, they're all different types, they're all different sizes, but it's all still bread, right? So Sunbeam is not going to discount their loaf because, I don't know, what's another brand of bread decided that they were going to discount theirs. If you know that your quality demands what your price is, you don't waver from that ever. Because if people will pay $5,000 for a Tiffany paperclip, they can pay $24 for a t-shirt. But on the reverse side of that, make sure that you're not over promising and under delivering, because you can't charge somebody, $45 for a t-shirt when you only spent $5 to make it and 20 minutes to pack it, right? You want to make sure that wherever you set your pricing, you can meet the expectation of the person who is purchasing from you.
Yeah. And from what I see from a lot of Black business owners, that's one of the biggest challenges, if not the biggest challenge, is making sure they're not undervaluing themselves, but not pricing themselves out of their target market. And it is a scientific mental game. It's extremely tough, especially for Black females. Now, and one thing that, and actually, I can't believe no students asked this one, so I wanted to ask it. Now, you are completely online. There is no brick and mortar spot. Do you do any type of pop-ups or anything in person, or is it completely online?
Right now, it's completely online. I haven't done any pop-ups. I haven't done any vendor fairs, anything like that, because the way I set up my model is I print on demand. So everything that you order is handmade to order.
Wow.
And I wanted at one point to branch out to a different printer, and I did for a while, but I lost that handmade touch. I lost that homemade feeling. I lost that connection with the people that I serve, and they noticed the difference as well. I don't ever want to grow out of who it is that I started to be, right? I don't want to ever get so big that I lose what brought people to me in the first place. So
yeah, and I didn't know that. That's really cool that everything is made to order, handmade, because I think that gives you the competitive advantage we just talked about, because knowing that as a selling point would allow you to charge more. Because
exactly.
it was one thing I always say, there's two things that every entrepreneur has to ask themselves. If people will pay it, why not charge it? If people will buy it, why not sell it?
There it is.
So there it is right there. And that's super cool. I did not know that. And even I've, looked at all your stuff, but I do want to get to some of these questions. These are all, they've all started some type of business concept of their own. But they do have some questions for you. And this is from Rodarius Williams. He's a junior. And he asked, what are some things you feel you could have done better? And how far ahead do you feel you would have been if you had known entrepreneurship from a young age?
I'd probably be at least a millionaire at this point, because I spent a lot of time doing what it was that society said that I was supposed to do. And that landed me in a lot of trouble, actually, because I was living a life that everybody else wanted me to live and not really cultivating the skills and the spirit that I had in me. I know that beyond a shadow of a doubt. What I could have done differently, I'm not going to go all the way back to childhood, but when I started my company, I would have done more research. Right now, I have a lot of equipment, and most of it I don't need anymore, because instead of me doing research, instead of me saying, all right, this is exactly what I want to do, instead of trying everything at the same time, then I'd have a whole lot more money than I do now, because I'm just looking around at this stuff. I've wasted a lot of money on, stuff that I don't necessarily need or use anymore. So.
And now I just thought of one too before I get to this next one. When it comes to managing your finances, all your accounting stuff, are you using contractors for that, or are you training yourself to complete those tasks? Because I know that's a big obstacle any business would face.
So here's the funny thing about life. All of your experiences are going to come together in the end so that everything that it is that you've ever wanted to do will work if you want it to. I was an accountant for almost 15 years.
Oh, wow.
So again, like all of these skills, even though the path that I wanted to be on, I didn't really know about, the one that I took prepared me for the path later on in life. So yeah, needless to say, I do most of it by myself. But as I grow, I know I need to bring a contractor in because there's only 24 hours in a day. There's only so much that one person can do. Um, and what that's called, y'all, is bootstrapping. It's you being everything. You're the packer, the shipper, the person who finds the orders when the post office loses them, the accountant, the accounts payable, everything that you can think of, you are doing by yourself. And that's called bootstrapping. And where that comes from is you're pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. It's something the old folks used to say.
Yep.
And it's rewarding, but it's tough.
Yeah.
Really.
Now, I've had another one I just thought of as well. I can't believe we didn't ask this. And this really doesn't, not so much business related, but obviously you're a proud member of Sigma Gamma Rho.
I am.
And, we have several students that say they want to pledge, they want to be a part of the MPHC family, which I'm a huge supporter of. But can you talk a little bit about the MPHC experience? Because it is not just strolling and making cool TikToks and Instagrams. What all goes into an MPHC experience if someone was interested in doing that in college or a grad chapter?
So the one thing about being in a fraternity or sorority, period, is you make the letters that you wear. The letters that you wear don't make you. So don't join a sorority or fraternity thinking that you're going to change who you are at the core. That's never going to happen. You're just going to be within a sister or a brotherhood that'll help cultivate who you are at the core. So remember that the strolling is cute, the stepping, it's fun, the parties, all that good stuff. That's a part of it, but you're making a lifelong commitment and you're not going to be a lifelong stroller. My knees don't work anymore, so I can't do it. But if you have a heart that is for service and you want to make a difference on a larger scale, Greek life is definitely for you because you have sisters and brothers all over the world, sometimes working on the exact same thing. And that is a gigantic impact to make. By the same token, you also come into a family. And it's not just the people that you're in the sorority with or the fraternity with. The entire MPHC is one big family, one big sisterhood, one big brotherhood. So of course, we throw the shade and, do all that stuff. But at the end of the day, we all support each other across the board. So remember that when you're looking, at different organizations, like I said, like Greg said, I am a member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, founded on November the 12th, 1922 at Butler University in Indiana, right? So if you haven't heard of us, Google.
We actually have two recent graduates of our school that are proud members of SGRO, one at Alcorn State and one across at Jackson State. And they have both graduated now, but they're both two of the best students we've ever had here. And they're both very proud members and are doing your organization well. And I had to get to that because I think it's important. But I do have this next question here. This is from Christina Robinson. She's a junior and she asks, is it hard to manage the shipping to your customers when they are ordering?
It depends on the time of year. From November to like January-ish. I like to say 'tis the season for stolen and lost packages because that's exactly what's going to happen. And that makes it a little bit difficult. And the difficult part about it is not packing and shipping. The difficult part is managing the customer expectation because I have to remind people that once I drop it off at the post office, I can no longer control what happens to it.
That's true.
And if I track it, I'm literally getting the same information that you're going to get. So it's important that you pay attention to, delivery times, you pay attention to the address that you enter. I can't tell you how many packages come back because just the address is wrong.
Wow.
People know their own address, but sometimes they don't. But like I said, the time of the year really determines whether or not shipping is hard. I've made it really easy on myself by establishing a set routine for shipping. I go to the same place to ship. I know the people that know me when I come in. So if something goes wrong, I know that somebody will call me or, I'll be okay. There's one thing that I would discourage you from doing if you're thinking about having a company that does shipping in-house is shipping every day. Because now my customer expects this Amazon-like turnaround that I thought I had to do because I wanted to compete with, But so set reasonable expectations for yourself. Does it make sense to go to the post office 5 or 6 days a week? No, it does not, but I'm stuck in that cycle, right? I'm going to have to kind of ease into 2 or 3 day shipping. But yeah, that's the toughest part. Time of year.
Focus more on product quality instead of trying to get it out so quick.
Exactly.
Now, this is a very interesting question. This is Timothy Laster. He's a sophomore. And he asked, is there any custom request that you would not do?
Yes. So all money is not good money. And no is a complete sentence. I don't know exactly what it is that I would not make, but I go with my gut all the time. So if somebody requests something that I don't really agree with, or it makes, how would I feel if someone said, yeah, Sassy made that? Would I be embarrassed or would I be proud of it? And that's kind of how I have to think about things. Again, when you start out, you feel like you have to say yes to everything. Oh, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. But then you're burnt out, you're overworked. And, that's not really fun. So
yeah, and that goes back to building your brand because social entrepreneurship is just as much a part of making a profit.
If not more.
Oh, absolutely. And we talked about that in the last 9 weeks. This is Harmony Williams. She's a sophomore. And she asked, what was your main motivation to go into business for yourself?
Nobody can fire me from me. Ever. And I realized probably very early in my career that I don't like working for other people. I just don't. I don't. And again, because nobody ever told me that you really don't have to work for anybody else if you don't want to, I was stuck in that hamster wheel, that cycle. Now that I know that I can be exactly who I am and do exactly what I want to do and still be okay, I encourage everybody to look at it. Now, entrepreneurship is not for everybody. Yeah. It's 100% not for everybody.
Especially full-time entrepreneurship.
Especially full-time entrepreneurship. Yeah, especially full-time. So.
Now this is Michael, and this is a great question too. He's a senior, is Michael Williams, and he's a big movie guy, and he's asking, do you make horror-related T-shirts?
I haven't, but it's not something that I'm just against. I just haven't had, a real demand for it, if you will. Now, I did do superhero and different masks from horror films or whatever. So I wear, it's not in here, otherwise I'd show you, but I wear a mask that looks like the Joker. So when I walk in, everybody just sees the Joker face. That's funny. And so that's been really fun. And now that things are ramping back up again, I'm getting a lot of requests for masks. So I'll probably bring those back.
No, that would be cool. I'd like to see those. And I like your NFL mask too. Those are pretty cool. My team plays tonight, so we'll see how we do against the Cowboys.
Our team plays tonight.
Oh, I forgot you are a Saints fan. That's awesome. Now, just a couple more before we go, and I know you're really busy, but how much is the importance of the increase of Black business owners in America, especially females? Because you hear entrepreneur, you automatically you think old white guy, in a suit, like you said, in a gruffy suit. So how important is that representation for females and African Americans in the entrepreneurship world?
It is incredibly important. And if you think about my story, you see why. I didn't see anybody who looked like me or anybody who looked like me saying, you know what, you can own your own business. It was just drilled into my head that you climb somebody else's ladder. Well, I don't want to climb anybody else's ladder. I want to make my own ladder. I want to make opportunities for other people so that they can climb the ladder if they so choose to. And that is super important. I have a 16-year-old daughter, right? And what I wanted to do was show her a me that I did not see. And after doing that for her, I wanted to make sure that other young ladies saw, themselves in me. It's super important that you're represented in every area in life, and especially in the areas that are going to provide for you and your family. You want to make sure that you're not uncomfortable where you are. You want to make sure that you are represented in some shape, form, or fashion in everything that you do. And that includes being an entrepreneur. That includes how you make your money.
Yeah, that's all I mean. And I think that will go for, and we'll have some Spanish speakers and some Asians as well watching this later. And I think it's important for them to know that as well, that there's opportunities for Asian and Hispanic business owners in America as well that can find a similar niche now more than ever. So I think that's important for everybody watching this later to understand that. Now, before we thank you so much for joining us. You're just unbelievable story, unbelievable product. But I ask every speaker the same thing. Like everybody else that's watching right now, you grew up Black in the country and a female. So everybody here that's watching with me now is going to face the obstacles that you faced at some point in their life. It's not a matter if, it's a matter of when. So even if they don't want to be an entrepreneur, how can they become as successful as someone like you, knowing they're going to face the same obstacles you faced as a young Black person in America?
The biggest thing that I want you guys to remember is that you will fail. That is 100% certain. You will fail over and over and over again in the course of your life. But just because you fail doesn't make you a failure. So when you fail, don't internalize that you fail. Think about the lesson that you learned and get back up and try it again. That is the number one thing. Because if somebody had drilled into my head that it's okay to fail, you don't have to be perfect all the time, I would have made different decisions in every area of my life. People pleasing is one heck of a drug. So don't do it. Because when you become addicted to pleasing people, you no longer live for yourself. That's whether you want to be an entrepreneur or if you want to go on to be a neuroscientist. You cannot please everybody, so why try?
Yeah, especially the business owner.
Especially, yes.
All right, but before we go, make sure they know your website, sassyfrizzle.com, Instagram, IG at Sassy Frizzle, SASSYFRIZZLE.
Actually, my handle on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter is Sassy F, as in Frank Design. So no Frizzle, just Sassy F Designs.
So Sassy F Designs.
Yeah. Mainly because Twitter has a character limit on how long your name can be, and I had to shorten that one, and I wanted brand consistency because that is a thing.
Yeah, and I can attest you are a great follow. And you got some great ideas and some great content and some great products as well. So hopefully we'll check out her website. She's got some great stuff, custom designs made to order. So you're definitely getting your bang for your buck with a great quality product. But we thank you so much for joining us. You got a great story, great product. If you're ever in Mississippi, we'd love to have you on campus once we get our COVID restrictions lifted. But doing some great things up there in the capital city. Thank you for joining us today, all the way from Washington, D.C.
You're welcome. Good luck, y'all.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon, my friend.
All right. Bye-bye.
See ya.